All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Happy summer. It is summer solstice today, and it finally looks like summer out there. So it's a good day. Welcome to the Financial Empowerment Network's June workshop, Cryptocurrency and Digital Wallets. My name is Jennifer Quiroz, and I'm the Executive Director of the Financial Empowerment Network. Thanks for joining us today. If you could, please introduce yourselves in the chat. Drop your name, pronouns, and organization and role in the chat, and we'll have a chance to get to know each other a little bit better. A couple of housekeeping things. Live captioning is available, so you can use the CC button in your Zoom app to turn that on. We will be handling questions two ways today. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions. So you can use the chat if you want to put questions in the chat. I'll be monitoring that or helping Brian to monitor that as questions come up. Or if you prefer, you could also raise your hand and I will flag Brian and we will give you the floor to ask your question. And then this webinar is being recorded and the recording will be available in a few weeks on our YouTube channel. In the email you received this morning, there was also a link to the materials for today. So in just a moment, I will drop that in the chat again for folks that would like to follow along on your own document. All right. So I want to take a couple of minutes and talk about the Financial Empowerment Network quickly. We serve as a liaison to create connections, disseminate evidence-based and promising practices, and bring resources to a network of providers. So we are not a direct service provider, but we exist to support all of you. And we do that because we envision communities where low and moderate income individuals and families are able to achieve financial well-being. And we advance financial empowerment through partnerships that support access to affordable, effective, and relevant services, products, and other resources. We have two main initiatives. The first is financial empowerment integration, and I'm just going to briefly touch on a few things that we do. Financial empowerment integration is about helping providers increase their ability and capacity to offer financial wellness services. So typically that means working with nonprofit and social service partners. And some of our partners have dedicated financial coaches or financial education staff, but we know that many nonprofit organizations don't have that luxury. So folks might be case managers or work in a shelter or workforce development program. And financial capability may just be one part of what they do. So we're here to support folks across the spectrum, no matter their level of understanding around personal finances. Our goal is really to increase your understanding and knowledge about finances, provide you with resources and tools that you can use right away in supporting your clients and community members. So we do this in a few ways. The first is workshops that we offer pretty much every month, which are all virtual, like this one that we are doing here today. We have a fantastic trainers task force that helps us identify training needs in the community and plan these workshops. And you can find upcoming workshops and links to past workshop recordings and materials at our website at that link. And I'll drop it in the chat in just a moment as well. We also have a financial coaches network that meets the fourth Wednesday of every month, which happens to be tomorrow. This initiative is co-chaired by Donna O'Connor of HopeLink and Barbara Maxwell of Blue Mountain Action Council. And we have a really helpful steering committee that really shapes and guides the work. These are informal networking groups, not trainings, but really meant as professional support and development. And they happen, like I said, the fourth Wednesday of every month. Join us tomorrow if you're interested and you would like to sign up. Please sign up at that link. You only need to sign up once and you will receive the calendar invite for the rest of the year. And then you also have the option to opt in to share your contact information with other financial coaches across the state. Just a note, your title does not need to be financial coach and you don't need to be credentialed. This group is really meant for anyone that is providing financial coaching, counseling, or education with marginalized communities or individuals in Washington. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is our website as a resource. As I mentioned, we strive to provide high quality and trustworthy resources and tools. We are in the midst of redesigning our website to make it easier to navigate, but you can check it out, everyoneiswelcome.org, and you'll find tons of financial empowerment related resources there. And I'm really excited to announce today that we are building a statewide directory of financial coaching, counseling, and education providers. So I'm asking that each organization that offers those types of service, please complete our online form, one person per organization, please, to be included in that directory. There isn't a list anywhere for Washington State of who is providing these services. And so if you would like to be included, please fill out that link and I will drop it into the chat in just a moment. And then the other initiative that is Bank On. We are the lead organization for Bank On Washington. Bank On is a national initiative that was developed to meet the needs of folks who are or underbanked to get them connected to safe, affordable, and functional accounts. Banking access matters, and lacking access to an account at a bank or credit union can be really expensive. On average, a person who is unbanked will spend $40,000 over their lifetime on financial services fees that would otherwise be typically free for those who do have an account. Another shocking number is 66 million. That is the amount of money from the first round of stimulus funds in 2020 that went to check cashers for folks to access their own money, rather than to families who really needed that money and could have accessed those funds for free if they had direct deposit and an account where they could receive those funds. And so because of this, the CFE Fund developed a certification that financial institutions can obtain for offering an account that meets a set of national standards. The standards were created with consumers in mind, and so they're meant to offer benefits to consumers who may have limited or challenging history with banking. And they include things like a low opening deposit, low or no monthly fees, a low minimum balance requirement, and one of the best features is no overdraft charges. The specific requirements of the Bank On accounts are available at that link online. There are now over 200 Bank On certified accounts offered across the country, including 11 here in Washington State. And so our role at the network is twofold. We work with financial institutions to achieve certification of an account. And then we also work to ensure that community members know that they have access to these safe, low-cost financial products and services. So if you work for a financial institution that does not have a certified account and you're interested in exploring the process, I'm happy to help. And also, if you have clients that can benefit from access to a Bank On account, check out the website or reach out to me if you would like to get connected with a Bank On partner. I'm happy to make connections. And the last thing I want to say about Bank On Washington is that we also convene folks from across the state a few times a year. We do some smaller coffee hour events virtually, and we have an annual forum each fall. This year's forum will be October 24th and 25th in Yakima, and we're really excited about the opportunity to have these conversations about financial access and how to support the most marginalized and excluded communities in achieving financial wellness. Stay in touch. There's lots of ways to connect. We are on LinkedIn and Facebook. You can sign up for our email list or check out either of our websites, everyoneiswelcome.org or bankonwashington.org. All right. And with that, I would love to introduce our speaker today, Brian Duerr, who is going to be sharing with us about cryptocurrency and digital wallets. So in the community relations role with Washington State Employees Credit Union, Brian is an integral part of the team responsible for the community development initiatives and partnerships. He's been responsible for leading the design and deployment of several digital financial education modules that over 800,000 Washingtonians have completed. Brian has extensive B2B experience leveraging automation and technology, with expertise in sales, implementation, operations, and distribution. Before joining the credit union, Brian spent 15 years in sales, manufacturing, supply chain management, distribution, and led global operations for MilFab Inc., where he led the $110 million procurement and distribution channels. Brian attended Oregon State University and is a certified financial educator and has his credit union development educator certificate. Thank you, Brian, for being with us today, and I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's wonderful to be here. And when I think back of my first 15 minutes and 15 years of my career, it does sometimes feel like 15 minutes ago. So yes, that was a nice pun there. Thanks for everyone for being here. I was reading through some of the chat. I'm not going to follow along the chat during this presentation. Jennifer, let me know if there's something in the chat that someone wants to address, but I saw a lot of familiar organizations. So I don't need to call them all out, but the older I get, the smaller the world gets. So great to see people from Verity Credit Union, St. Vincent de Paul, Sound Outreach. So just, yeah, it's cool when the world gets small. So I'll go ahead and start going with the workshop now. I'm going to, well, no, I'm not going to end my video there. So today we're here to talk about cryptocurrencies, blockchain, digital wallets, peer-to-peer payments, NFTs, all that exciting stuff. I just want to get this one out of the way. If you're here today to learn how to invest or how to obtain any of these assets, this isn't the place to do that. This is informational and educational. This is more designed for, think back before the pandemic, maybe you were at the office, there was a large office or even a small office, and there's some downtime and you're around, I don't know, the copy machine or the break room, and people are talking about, oh, Bitcoin or Ethereum or something that falls under this umbrella. In this, hopefully after this workshop, you'll be armed with some information and be able to join those conversations. And on the other side, if you have cryptocurrencies, if you've invested in this, if you're very familiar with digital wallets, this might be a lot of review for you. So with that, we'll go ahead and get going. I think we'll get going. There we are. So this is what we're gonna cover, like we talked about just a couple minutes ago. And what are cryptocurrencies? When did they start? Why are they in existence? What is blockchain technology and its value? NFT, what is it? Peer-to-peer payments, what are those? How can we use them? What's a digital wallet? Why should I have one of those? And then my favorite, the risks and scams to be aware of. That's not really my favorite, but it seems that every couple of days there's a new scam out there. So those bad guys are highly motivated. So what is cryptocurrency? Well, it's a form of payment. Oh,
Brian, we can't see your screen.
Oh my gosh. All right, well, let's change that. Why can't we? How's that?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Okay, so the only thing that I'll go back. This is what everyone missed. Nice shiny coins. Those aren't real Bitcoins, by the way. Those are just logos. We missed this slide, but I talked about it. So this is where we're at right now. Are we all good, Jennifer? All right, wonderful. So cryptocurrency, it's a form of payment, just like the dollar, yen, pound, euro. It serves the same roles that fiat currencies do. What's fiat currency? Those are the traditionals, like the hard dollars of euro, yen. So It's not tied to any physical counterpart, meaning it's not backed by gold, it's not backed by oil, anything like that. And it only exists in electronic form. So a little bit more on cryptocurrencies. This one is, well, a few months ago, it was really mind-numbing. Now it's a little different, but Bitcoin is the most widely known cryptocurrency. It was created by Satoshi Nakamoto. This person is still unknown. Lots and lots of theories on who this person or who this group of people are. You can have plenty of fun on going down the rabbit hole on the internet on that one. But yeah, there's lots of theories on who Satoshi Nakamoto is. I buy into the PayPal mafia, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk theory, if anybody's wondering. But it was released, the first time Bitcoin was released to public was 2009, worth $0. So 2011 was the first time it reached $1. And I always like to do this. During this presentation, just Google real quick the price of Bitcoin. It's now $21,387.30. That's wow, that's up over $800 today. 6 months ago. So right now, one Bitcoin is worth $21,387. 6 months ago, it was worth, gosh, almost $49,000. So it's down over 56% in the last 6 months. So that's something that's definitely changed about this workshop. It just kind of keeps sliding down. So the most popular coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin, Cardano, XRP, Dogecoin, Polkadot, Uniswap, Litecoin, Solana. Those are the top 10 stable coins. The largest stable coin is Tether, which mimics the US dollar. So, excuse me, those are the top 10, not including stable coins. The largest stable coin is Tether, which reacts with the dollar. There are thousands, literally thousands, over 11,000 cryptocurrencies. So these can be made by anybody who has the ability and resources to create one. So Dogecoin, for example, there's a story behind the Dogecoin one where Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live and yelled to the moon and back, and that was an interesting time to follow that. But the person that created Dogecoin did it as a joke. So 3 or 4 years before that happened on Saturday Night Live. So it's highly speculative, and it's a lot like the Wild West. So over 11,000 coins, and most people can just name a handful, which is just crazy to me. Cryptocurrency and its value. So why has cryptocurrency lost over half its value in the last 6 months? Well, why did it skyrocket? So in 2011 is worth $1, and today it's worth $21,000. It'd been nice to buy a handful back then, but who knows if it's going to continue to fall. So there's lots of value though to cryptocurrency, and mainly the technology behind it. And while there's supply demand working for some cryptocurrency, mainly just Bitcoin. And when I say there's supply and demand, there's not traditional financial metrics tied to these cryptocurrencies. And why so there's supply and demand at play with Bitcoin is because there's a finite amount of coins for Bitcoin. So for example, there will once there's 21 million Bitcoins mined, that's it. There's no more Bitcoin. So eventually supply and demand should tell us that should go up in value. But right now, cryptocurrencies, their value is based on popularity at any given time. So how popular is it? How easy it is to access it, to use it, to buy things, to trade it. So how, the accessibility easy, the overall utility, does it solve problems such as supply chain management, cybersecurity, does it help you in the internet, the metaverse, the perceived value, so keyword perceived value, and the scarcity. So demand should exceed the supply of the coins to make it more valuable. And like I talked about, a good example is Bitcoin, which as far as I'm aware of, it's the only one that has that traditional supply demand metric at play, where there's a finite amount of Bitcoins. So the supply will never go beyond 21 million coins. And I think right now we are projected to mine, when I say we, collectively, the everyone on the planet here, the last Bitcoin will be mined somewhere around 2035. So seems like a long ways away, but really not that far. So, all right, the technology behind Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and that value. So that's blockchain. Blockchain is the technology that drives all of this. And what blockchain is a digital ledger of transactions that's constantly being duplicated and distributed across the entire network of computer systems. So why they call it blockchain, and I'll use a chain as an example. And say you know that real thick chain, and you chain your bike to a bike rack, so to speak, and it's like every couple seconds there's a new chain that just appears on that lock of chain. So it's if you're a bad guy trying to steal someone's bike and you're going to cut the chains, well, every couple of seconds there's a new link in the chain, and that's what blockchain is. So it's a way of recording information that makes it very difficult to change, hack, edit, cheat, or steal. Not impossible, it makes it very, very, very difficult. And blockchain is going to filter into every aspect of our lives. And a lot of times it's going to be out of sight, out of mind. But one example I can give you right now is if anybody's ever had to wire money, especially overseas, let's say to Europe or Asia or anywhere overseas, it's like a $38, $40, $45 charge. And it costs the banks, I believe, somewhere around the $25 to $28 range, and the rest they put on there for to pay the people that are working to access or process that wire transfer, and probably a little margin on there too. So blockchain brings, and then it takes a day. So you're paying $40, it probably costs the bank $25, and it could take a day or 3 days, up to 3 days. With blockchain technology, that cost comes down to, I believe JP Morgan Chase had it down to $1.19, and it's immediate. So, and they're using that to transfer money, but they're not passing along the savings yet. So eventually that technology will leak into our lives and provide more cost saving opportunities for us consumers, as well as supply chain management. So think of like the farm to table foods when we're all going out to eat before the pandemic. That was kind of a trending idea there, or concept. I know Tom Douglas, the local chef in Seattle, did a great job at that. He had a nice farm in Yakima, a couple of restaurants in Seattle and Portland, and every day he'd send a truck from his farm to his restaurants and drop off fresh produce for the day, and it was awesome. And blockchain technology would allow not only the restaurant and the employees and them to track the food, but we'd also be able to track it too. So you sit down and eat, and be like, all right, well, this asparagus came from Yakima yesterday. Kind of cool thing. So the value of blockchain, what we've been talking about. So it's instead of it's a technology, instead of data on a central server, it's stored all across all the computer networks, and it's constantly checking and verifying the records are accurate. We talked about the money changing hands and how much that'll save us. It's also used for secure transfers of property, deeds, contracts, without having to go to a third party or intermediary like a bank or government. So I'm not sure the government's too thrilled about that, but there's a way to circumvent that. So anytime you can circumvent a third party, for example, say it's a payment processing party or whatever type of vendor you're using, you're going to save money, right? Because if those people are in the way of that transaction, they're going to take a cut. So blockchain will eliminate sort of some hands in the cookie jar, so to speak. So and this last example here, talking about wiring money from one financial institution to another, it's going to drastically save costs, and eventually those costs will be passed along to the consumer. So, and it's substantial. It's very significant. So before I get into NFT, Jennifer, is there any questions in the chat?
There are not, but I have a question for you. Talking about crypto, you talked about mining Bitcoin, and that the last Bitcoin will be mined in 2035. What does it mean to mine Bitcoin?
Gosh, great question, right? It's not when we say mine Bitcoin, probably have this picture in our mind that coal mining or something like that. To say you're mining Bitcoin is you're solving a significantly complex math equation. Is probably the best way I can explain it. So you need some high-powered computers, you need some very fast processors, and it's for any of you math majors in the house, you remember go to school and you have one math problem that takes up like 35 pages to solve. It's something equivalent to that. So it's not down in the dirt and breathing all the carbon dioxide, but you're going hard in front of your laptop trying to solve some crazy math equation. So that's what mining, and that's it's much more technical than that, but that's the best example I can give you in this context. And there are some resources at the end of this presentation that I encourage you to explore on your own, that goes into more detail and addresses the technical aspects of that question. But big long math equation.
Okay, so this feels like a silly question, but I'm going to ask it because maybe someone else is wondering too. Is it people that are solving the math equation, or is it computers that are solving the math equation, or both?
Oh wow, do you read TechCrunch?
No.
Okay. People, for the most part, people, but there is some speculation that there's some algorithms being made to try to capture some of these. So speculation right now, and I don't really touch on it, but TechCrunch it's at the end of this presentation. It's one of the places that I go to capture and read the latest news. They do a great job on reporting on all these topics. So right now it's people, but everything's getting automated. So.
Okay, there's some questions. The chat is picking up a little bit. So is Bitcoin a physical thing?
No.
All right. And then are there trainings available to learn how to use Bitcoin or other currencies?
Yes. I got to be careful here when on how to use them. Like, yeah, there are trainings out there available. I went through several trainings to create this workshop. Some of them are a little salesy and pushy, and they're trying to get you to get your credit card out and purchase some cryptocurrency, which I think is a very, very dangerous, slippery slope. Why would you be using credit to purchase some highly speculative cryptocurrency? Yeah, but does that answer your question?
Yes. So how do you find, I guess, trainings that are trustworthy? Like, what do you look for? I mean, I feel like that's the $1 million question about crypto, right? How do you trust how do you evaluate something to?
Right, and right now that's a great time. It's a great time to address that, because 6 months ago, people were super excited about this. Right now, people are, well, it depends who you talk to. Some people say, oh, it's time to jump in. It's a good deal. Some people are running for the exit. So, yeah, I guess I don't know if I feel comfortable addressing that one, but yeah, it's definitely down. I mean, it's down over almost 60% from just 6 months ago. So who knows if it's going to come back or not. I have a feeling that everything's a little down right now. Everyone's pretty scared. A lot of variables at play right now impacting the financial markets. And cryptocurrency, while Bitcoin specifically, a lot of the cryptocurrencies experienced what they felt was they were immune to some of the financial warnings or uncertainty. Right now it's certainly not. So that's why I love just whenever I do this presentation, I just Google the price of Bitcoin. Last time I did it, I think it was in the 30s or high 20s. So now, it's down to 21,000, but it's up $800 today. Over the last 5 days, it's up 1,000. Over the last 6 months, it's down 28,000. So it's highly speculative with not a lot of places to go. But to answer, how do you know if a training is good? So I'm not trying to push anything. I'm not selling anybody. In fact, I'm telling people, gosh, don't, make sure you educate yourself before you get into this space. That's probably a good way to go. If anybody's asking for money or credit card, that's probably a red flag. I would stay away from those. I don't do anything without fully understanding all the different perspectives of it, whether it's signing my kids up for an activity, going on a trip, or figuring out what NFTs and cryptocurrencies are. So as long as it's informative and it's not trying to push something on you, it's educational. It's not asking to something in exchange. It's probably a safe bet. I'm a big believer in lifelong learners. So consume. You can consume as much information as you want. The more you consume, you have a good idea of kind of hey, I don't think these two don't line up. And then you can sort of self-assess which one, which source of information you feel is best for you. It's something as in a credit union. I can speak that we're having internal dialogues on how do we address this with our own members. How do we talk to them about it? We're a over $3 billion financial institution. We don't offer cryptocurrencies or anything like that, but our members want to know about it. So we're exploring how do we address that need, and we're not the only financial institution doing it. And there are some financial institutions that do provide avenues to do that. So that could probably, if you want to, if you want to learn more, that might be a good way to do it. And we talked about that a little bit later in this presentation. SoFi has a bank charter. They offer access to cryptocurrencies, and so that might be somewhere to go to get more information. So yeah, but it's really tough out there because a lot of trainings I signed up for, 15 minutes into it's like sign up for let's get 1/10 of a Ethereum coin. It's like, what's going on? So you can buy fractions of this stuff. You can go into Walmart and there's 2,000 Walmarts that have a kiosk that you can buy Bitcoin at right now. So you really just got to self-educate and be aware. There's no governing body on this at the moment. So it's brand new and it's popular and it's a roller coaster right now. So
yeah, Brian, thank you for that. And thank you, Marie, for dropping the link in the chat again. There are some resources towards the end of Brian's PowerPoint. And so there's some places to get started with further reading. And so, yeah. But I think, Brian, what you just said is key, right? There's no regulation. So it's sort of at your own risk for sure.
No, yeah, there's no regulation on a lot everything that we're talking about today. So it's really on you. So yeah, glad everyone's on this. That we're here together. But this workshop definitely is not the end all be all. I don't want anybody walking, leaving today going, oh my gosh, I know, I'm ready. Let's go look at NFTs. Yeah, it's highly speculative and it's brand new, and I know the current administration is trying to put together right now a governing body and way to regulate this. It's just so hard. It's all over the world. So yeah, it's not tied to any government, and it's highly speculative, and it's just bouncing around. Midnight Saturday it could go up 10% or drop 10%. So crazy times. It's like we're living in the Matrix, I swear. Are there any more questions, or should we get on to NFTs?
Oh, another question just came in. And they say, I believe cryptocurrency is like stocks. Isn't that right?
I would say no. But yes, that's a great question. So they're like stocks in the sense that, people look at my kids look at stock and oh, is this stock going up or down? I bought this asset and it's going up or it's going down. Am I gaining money? Am I making money on my investment or am I losing it? However, stocks are tied to a company. So if I want to go buy stock in Nike, for example, I can research Nike. I can see who the CEO is. They have quarterly reports. I can look at their financials. They're a publicly traded company. And then that stock also represents a share. Now I own one share of Nike. Do I have voting power? I can impact, some of these hedge funds, activist investors, where they buy so much stock of a company that they now have voting rights and can control what that company does as far as maybe hiring or firing a CEO. With cryptocurrency, none of that exists. So the similarities with the stock market are, yes, you buy it and then you either gain money on your investment or you lose money. But that's and exchanges. So you need to buy these things on exchanges, which we're not going to cover. I'm just not comfortable doing that. And but lots of people figured out how to do it. So and that the New York Stock Exchange, the Nasdaq, Japan, Europe, there's stock exchanges all over the world. So to go buy stock, you go to these exchanges or you go to a broker. To buy cryptocurrency, you have to go to exchanges too. But again, there's a huge difference. I know that the New York Stock Exchange is open from 6:30 a.m. Pacific to 1 p.m., or 9:30 a.m. East Coast to 4 p.m. Cryptocurrencies, I use that Saturday example, it's 24/7, 365. And it's not just tied to a company. It's not regulated by anybody. So I can't remember how long ago it was, but China outlawed crypto mining, and they announced that on a Saturday. And everything just took a nosedive the moment they announced that. Everything dropped significantly. That was a big deal. A lot of the mining of Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies was going on in China, and the Chinese government came out and said no more. I was on a Saturday, no rhyme or warning, no official statement from a governing body like the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. And so it's just the Wild West. It's the wild globe. It's So there are some similarities. It's a new asset. You buy it and go up or down, but it's not tied to any sort of company. You can't research it. Its value is primarily based on things like popularity, ease of use. Can you buy a house next to Snoop Dogg in the metaverse with it? Can you buy Nikes with it? So that's where it's drastically different. So, yes, I'm sorry. I addressed that with a yes and a no, and it's one of my things I like to avoid. But somewhat similar to stocks, but not really.
One more question: will you also be talking about staking?
No. But if someone would like to reach out and we can find some time, and Jennifer, maybe you can even. We can go through you and we can get together and talk on a individual basis, or we can go through a Zoom, a smaller group at a later date.
For all of that, folks, continue to put questions in the chat or raise your hand if you'd like to ask, and I think we can keep going now. Thanks.
All right. NFTs, what are they? So in creating, I just want to, when I got to NFTs, this was really hard for me to wrap my head around, because to me, it's NFT is it's just like a JPEG or a PNG file, but once I saw what was going on, and I'll give you some examples here in a second, I started to understand it more. And then the one concept I'll share with you about an art gallery kind of really just blew my mind, but got me to an understanding. But an NFT is a digital asset, usually represents art, music, in-game items and videos. When I say in-game items, let's say you're in the metaverse and you want to buy something, or you're in you're you're playing a game on the Switch, um, or your device, and you want to purchase something in the game. You want to buy an NFT, that's going to belong to you. It only exists in digital asset, and it has value. So NFTs are frequently bought using cryptocurrency, so it kind of lends itself to creating that credibility, in sustaining that digital world. And it's generally one of a kind or limited runs, with unique identifying codes. So the board Board Ape Club Yacht, I think, is a really big NFT collection, where they released 10,000 of these pictures, these cartoon figures, and they're all different, but some are super unique and some are a lot more valuable than others. And there's lots of examples out there like that. And it's just a picture of it's just a picture. Like I said, to me, it's like a JPEG. So it's really hard for me to understand. But it's over $200 million has been spent on NFTs since 2017, even with our dollar losing value. So I need to update this slide from 174 million, but a lot of money is being spent on NFTs. A lot of people see value. All my kids see value in NFTs, and that's what kind of helped me get there. And some major companies like Nike bought some NFT companies, one out of Utah recently. And their purpose of that is let's say you're going to go and buy some Nike tennis shoes for, $200 or $180. And then for another $40, you get this NFT of the shoes, which again is just a digital picture. But people see value in this and they're paying for it. So it's real. And so for example, this right here is the most expensive NFT ever sold. It was bought with $69 million worth of Ethereum, which is a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. And it was it's all of so Beeple's an artist. He's been around, I think, since early mid 90s, doing a lot of like street graffiti, started in Europe. But this is a collage, if you will. I use the word collage, but it's a picture of every single one of his pieces of art he's ever done, and he just put them all together. And this is it. So the person who paid $69 million, if you get this workshop, which I believe, Jennifer, you're making this available to everyone, you can click on this picture, save it onto your desktop or computer anywhere, and it's the same picture that the person who paid almost $70 million has. Now, the person who paid that money and owns that, they have some rights to it, and it's going to be crystal clear, high def, all that fun stuff. But that's it's no different. And so it was that one. I started kind of understanding that. I was like, I still don't get it. I can just take a picture of this with we're all walking around with like $500 cameras in our pocket right now. So I can take a picture of this and say, okay, I have this $70 million piece of art, but it's one of a kind. And so when in my own team at the credit union, this just doesn't make any sense to me. So I trust me, I get it. It took me a while to digest. And so one of the examples that was an aha moment for our team was like, we were getting stuck on, well, there's only one. And if you have it, why does it make it more valuable? Why does it make it valuable? I don't get it. That's not real. Just because there's one and you have it doesn't mean it's worth $70 million. And what about Picasso? He didn't rattle off 50 different copies of one painting, or the Mona Lisa. What makes the Mona Lisa so valuable? So it's the same concept, and it's just we're transitioning to that digital world, that digital version. So there already are art galleries, NFT art galleries. So when 6-7 months ago, I gave this exact same presentation. I said the future of art galleries will look like, it's already here now. You're going to walk into an art gallery, and it's going to be a lot of really nice flat screen TVs displaying a digital picture. It's hard to it's hard to grab that, but you start putting all this, okay, the one book, Mona Lisa is priceless because there's only one of them. And now we're walking into art galleries that just have a bunch of flat screen TVs on them. What is going on? It's just this continuation, this evolving digital world that we're living in. So now you can pay for stuff. There's art. There's every option you want. So before I go on any more, I'm going to go over some NFT data too.
Okay, so just to clarify, NFT, this is all in the chat, stands for non-fungible token.
Yes.
And so does that mean that there is some sort of, I don't know what the word is because I'm not techie. My son just told me that this weekend. You're not techie, you don't understand. Is there some thing in the digital file that identifies it as being the one thing? Because like you just said, Brian, you know, I use snip all the time on my computer. I'm going to snip a picture of this and then I have this $69 million art. But is there something that identifies it digitally as like the one?
Yes, there is. And so when yes, that short answer, yes. It's think of it as a barcode that you can't reproduce. And so a practical use for NFTs that's not art and blockchain technology, which isn't driving a cryptocurrency, would be think of going to a Mariner game or a Seahawk game or a concert at Climate Pledge Arena. I used to call it the Rock Arena when I was in high school, Key Arena. But scalping tickets is over. So every ticket will be an NFT. And so when you think of the, you know, how is this blockchain technology going to impact everyday life? So that now there's just ticket going, concert going. How many times or bus passes, you know, for back to concerts and tickets, you know, scalping tickets was a big thing when I was young, or now in the past, you know, 15 years, getting a fake ticket in your digital ticket account, Ticketmaster account. So NFTs will make sure that there's, you know, they can't be reproduced. So yes, short answer, yes, Jennifer, and your child is onto something there. How do you make that? I don't know if that was your child's question or your child just told you you weren't techie, which by the way, all my kids tell me that. I think they call me a boomer. I'm like, I'm not a boomer, but that's what they call me. So, but that, yeah, great question. So yeah, that's how it's going to impact just everyday life. That's a couple examples how it impact everyday life.
Great. Thank you. I don't see any more questions for now.
Okay, so yeah, we talked about the most expensive NFT ever sold. There's art galleries. I have a friend who it's funny. He's very bright. He's retired, 40, early 40s, and he's just hanging out down in Arizona. And him and some of his friends he went to school with, they're on this thread, and he was showing it to me, and they're all talking about buying these NFTs, these little cartoon figures. They never, you know, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, if there was a camera, you know, looking at us right now talking, everyone would laugh at us. So these are financial savvy, well made good decisions, good choices. Like I said, this guy's in his early 40s and he's retired, and they're looking into NFTs, investing in NFTs. So it just gives you, I just wanted to give you an example of this is, you know, something that's capturing a lot of people's interest. Nike just bought an NFT, not just in the last couple of years, they bought a company so they can provide NFTs to everyone who buys sneakers. And they're not the only company, but it's a big relative company with credibility. So like we said, I just talked about the most expensive NFT ever sold. Most NFTs go for fractions of that. So right here, this graph, this big green, well, the green and blue represent all NFT sales under $200. So that's more than half. And then once you get to these really, really small slices of the pie, you know, those are the large dollar purchases. So we tend to hear about it because people like that show. Oh my gosh, somebody paid $69 million for all of people's paintings. People like that, you know, people click on those stories. But in reality, most NFTs are sold for far, far, far less and don't gain value and aren't going to pay. You're not going to buy an NFT for 10 cents and retire on it. Those stories are very, very, very rare. Yeah, so I just wanted to give you some concept or some context there. Most NFTs aren't worth that much money at all. So I'm going to move on to digital wallets, but just want to make sure is there any more questions on NFTs? And if not, that's fine. We can always bring it up later.
Nope, not at this time.
Okay, digital wallets. And Jennifer, I have my timer here. We have till 11:30. That's correct?
Correct.
All right. Digital wallets, they're extremely handy. If anybody's bought, now they just come on your smartphone. Great marketing, by the way, right? Smartphone, not dumb phone. So if you don't have a digital wallet, if you bought a phone in the past year or two, there's an icon on there to access your digital wallet somewhere, I promise. But digital wallets contain they're wallets that contain versions of your credit card, debit cards, anything you use to pay on your mobile device, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay. And to help protect your security, your personal information is not stored. So your digital wallet cannot be used for payment without your authentication. Even if your phone's stolen, your information is protected, so you can just turn that stuff off. It's pretty convenient. Digital wallets can also store your crypto, so you can have everything right there. A major benefit is the security factor to the digital wallets. They have the option to use 2 or 3 factor authentication. I use triple authentication on everything, even my own bank accounts. Big fan of that. I know it used to be annoying, but now I also do workshops on ID theft, and there's a lot of bad guys out there, and everything seems to be digital, and actually even the Pentagon has been hacked. So I like that extra security now. Authentication factors may include biometric, which is fingerprint or facial recognition, email, voice, authorization codes. So sometimes you try to log on somewhere and says, all right, we're going to email you or text you this one-time PIN. I always opt in for all those options as well. Secret questions and answers. So what was your third dog's middle name? Something like that. And then many phone manufacturers, including Apple, so the iPhone, Samsung, have digital wallets with the ability to store cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Doge, on all new devices. So if you think you don't have access to a digital wallet, it's really easy to get it, but chances are it's somewhere on your phone already. So it's a convenience thing. All right. I'm going to kind of move kind of fast now into peer-to-peer payments, which is gained lots of momentum, wildly popular. But before I do that, any questions on digital wallets?
There's nothing in the chat right now.
All right. Peer-to-peer payments. Love these ones. So Venmo, PayPal, Square Cash, or we call that, I don't know, do we call that Block Cash now? They changed their name. Facebook, Twitter, all these now are platforms and avenues to send money to each other. Venmo is wildly popular. This PayPal has been around, since the beginning of the century. That was Elon and Peter Thiel, and PayPal Mafia is a great book. I encourage anybody to read it. And the social media platforms are getting into it too. A lot of if the financial industry doesn't stay on its toes, and if we don't respond to the consumer's needs, and I say we, like the whole, like credit unions, everybody, somebody's going to. And now it's these fintech companies. So a few years ago, Twitter was just a platform to read things. Now you can send cryptocurrencies to each other and Twitter tips. Then it works as follows. So peer-to-peer payments, you open an account with one of these platforms, link a payment source, and you're all set. It's super easy. It makes transferring money to others super easy, very convenient. Usually just a click or two to go through your mobile phone. It happens right away. Sometimes, depending on what your source of funding is tied to, it still can take up to 3 days. But sometimes it's boom right there. Ease of use and speed just make it so convenient. And the few times that we've been out eating in the past couple of years, and it's like the bill comes, one person can just pay for the bill, and everybody just Venmos their portion. I found it. One of these platforms I found incredibly useful and convenient with my own family. So if my child needs something, and instead of asking ask Mr. Waters if he can get you for lunch, and I'll pick up Chase's lunch next time. I can just Venmo him the money and make him do yard work when he comes home, which never really happens. That was a joke in there, but it adds convenience. It also adds risk, though. It also adds risk. So let's make sure we cover those. So more time in your life, ease of use, convenience also comes with some risk. So refunds are darn near impossible. They are impossible to enforce. You can't enforce them because this is all initiated from user to user. So if I'm sending money to Jennifer, I'm just boom, I'm going to send it to the link. Let's say we're using Venmo. So she just has a username, email. And let's say I input the wrong letter. And there's people out there that create fake accounts just for this purpose. And so let's say I didn't send Jennifer the $500 that I owed her, and it went to somebody else. And then that person's like, sweet, I just got $500 from this goofball Brian. Why did he send me $500? I'm keeping it. So I can ping on and say, hey, I accidentally sent you that back, or sent you that money. That person doesn't need to send it back. So user error is the number one reason for losing money on these platforms. There's no middleman, there's no regulator, you're not going through the bank. So there's nobody confirming that. It's just you putting in, this is where I want this money to go. It's entirely up to the person who received the money to refund them. So, like I said, if I'm trying to send Jennifer $500 and I send it to somebody else, it's up to them whether or not they want to send it back. I can't go to the peer-to-peer governance body and say, hey, I accidentally send money to the wrong person, and they're not sending it back. And this is consistent with, so there's a lack of regulation again, lack of enforcement again. This is consistent throughout history, though, and it's not the financial industry does not have a monopoly on this problem. So technology is always kind of one step ahead of regulation. It's just the way it goes. So all this, there'll be regulation by the time that my kids are having kids. They'll sort all this bowl of noodles out, and there will be regulation, but there isn't right now. The transaction, like I said, sometimes it's immediate. It can still take up to 3 business days. So not necessarily huge advantages there, depending on what platform you use, and you just got to do your own research on that one, or contact me. I'm happy to talk about them. And there are still fees. Some there aren't fees, so and some there are, and they can be up to 2%. So Visa and MasterCard, we're getting real worried about all of these fintech and peer-to-peer payments because we're not using Visa or MasterCard anymore, so they're not getting their percentage of every transaction. But maybe Venmo's taking it, or PayPal, or BlockFi, Square Cash. So you just do your research on these ones. Again, the value, a lot of it comes down to convenience. We put more time into your life, and that's what all this is designed to do. So,
Brian, a question that came up is someone had a digital wallet and then one day the money disappeared. How do you protect yourself from that happening?
Yeah, well, I would, I would want to talk to that person probably more, maybe one off, because that's, I believe Venmo had all the users' monies, or maybe a third. It had a significant amount of users. All their money was wiped out in one day, and they ended up providing a remedy and reimbursed the accounts. But yeah, there's some really awful stories out there like that, and there's different ways there's different ways to do that. Again, I would go back to if you have the option to use 2 or 3 factor authentication. Take as much on of those security options. Just jump through as many hoops as they provide. That's probably the best way. And without knowing all the details, I wouldn't ask you to share details in this setting. I could probably speak to it better if I knew more, and maybe that's something we can do later at another time. My contact information will all be available on this, or you can reach out to Jennifer. She knows how to get a hold of me. So, and I'm terribly sorry that if that happened to you. That's that awful feeling. Awful feeling.
All right. No other questions at this time. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, users have an increased likelihood to fall victim of social media scams, such as celebrity, family, friend impersonators. A big one going around a few years ago was here, buy this Amazon route. Like Amazon did such a good job at conquering the commerce and consumer world. They're just going to give away routes. But that's, I'm helping a couple of people get out of, they paid $9,000 to say, okay, we'll deliver Amazon's goods on these routes. And it was just a big giant scam. But a lot of the quizzes that you take on Facebook are putting, embedding some sort of bug or tracker on your computer. So I stay away from all that stuff and never click on anything. So I use Venmo. I believe we have a PayPal account. I don't know if we've used it in years. They take a nice percentage. And we use Square also. In Venmo, I like the use of Venmo. I like the ease. I like the convenience. And I, knock on wood, haven't had any problems. So we already talked about this. Human error is the number one reason for sending money, or for any error. Human error is the number one reason for problems when you send money. So C risk number one, refunds are almost impossible to initiate or enforce since there's no middleman or regulatory body. The biggest risk, PDP, is fraud. So PDP payments are secure, but they're not infallible. So yeah, Venmo users had their funds wiped out without explanation. There have been fines levied by the CFPB for platforms that have not implemented robust data security policies by the CFPB. CFPB was born out of the Frank Dodd Act, that was in response to our last financial meltdown. It's the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're advocates for the consumer. Very interesting body, holds a lot of power. We have this incredible system of government of checks and balances that goes on, and it tends to work out pretty well. And then the CFPB sort of out of that. They're swinging a free stick. If they come out tomorrow and say, hey, you can't use Venmo anymore in the United States, boom, it's over. There's nobody checking the CFPB, but that they were designed to have that kind of power, because how do you want to put this? The people in control of a lot of the financial governing bodies or the larger banks, Wall Street, were behaving poorly. So the CFPB, that governing body came around, or that agency came out in response to that, and they're like the watchdog now. So they're also in charge of providing some sort of regulation or protection when it comes to P2P and everything that we're talking about today. So they're hard at work at that. They haven't come up with anything yet. But they're going to. It's very easy to set up any of these platforms, Venmo, PayPal, and that creates its own inherent risk. So increased ease of use translates to increased vulnerability and user error. So the easier it is, the more people you have doing it, out of sight, out of mind. It just kind of comes with the territory. So human nature still at play there. Lots of people do not take advantage of the extra security features on these, just because, again, it's human nature. I want to use this Venmo because it's super convenient. So if I've already had to use my thumbprint or my facial recognition to get into my phone, I'm fine with that level of security. And I say it again, don't, just make yourself jump through as many hoops as possible when using these platform says it's going to help you. You're your own policeman, you're your own guard. So, and you're going to be your own best advocate if something does go wrong. So it's nice to have those measures in place. But yeah, those are the biggest reasons. Those are the biggest reasons people fall prey to fraud, is they're just not taking those extra steps. So make sure you take those extra steps. So we're going to go over some more scams out there. Before I do, there's no questions, Jennifer?
Nope, not right now.
All right. So a lot of the scams guarantee you big money, ask you to share information such as wallet addresses. I think everyone's probably heard the example. Hey, we're gonna, you won the lottery, you won something, you won $5,000, $9,000. But in order to make sure we send this $5,000 to the right bank account, you just need to send us $50 from your account first. And then boom, you either lose the $50 or they find a way to hack into your account, which is even worse. They may ask you to send money via Venmo or PayPal in exchange for a larger amount of money. The increased amount of impersonators asking you to send money to help them or act as if there's an emergency. Hi, this is cousin so-and-so. I'm stuck in this part of the world, and I just need you to send this. I'm in trouble. I take care of my stepfather, and he's an older gentleman, and it's seen every time I have to go through his phone and delete all of these texts, these unsolicited texts. Somehow he's entered his phone number somewhere, and lots of people are asking him for help. And I think they prey on his loneliness. So it's sad. The bad guys are out there, and they're using these. So all these platforms that are adding convenience and putting time back into our lives and making things easier are also making it easier to prey upon us, or get us with new scams. So social contest scams, cash prize scams, overpayment scams, IRS scams, customer service scams. There was one coming out and says, "Oh, your PayPal, your PayPal, we received your PayPal payment for $496. Click on this link to confirm it was accurate." So it creates that, wait a second, I know, I just told everyone in this workshop I haven't used PayPal in years, and I got this email. Oh, I won't bring it up, but I got this email every day for like 2 weeks saying, hey, thank you for we received your payment via PayPal. And I know we're not using PayPal. So, but if I would have clicked on that link, it would have done who knows what to my computer, or gotten into any of my peer-to-peer payment and just taking all my money. So same thing with the Facebook quizzes and the social scams. I think there was one, this was years ago, where on Facebook it asked, it wasn't Facebook, but it was on in the platform, and it was take a picture and see what you look like in 50 years or something. And everyone was, oh, look what I'm going to look like when I get older. And that was actually some bad people at play there. And they were using facial recognition technology to try to hack in, use biometrics to hack in people's accounts. So they knew what face they were getting from Facebook. They tried to figure everything else out and then get into some of their secure payments. So lots of scams out there, be aware of. If it's too good to be true, it is. Nobody's giving away millions of dollars anymore. So I'm not sure if they ever did. Avoid digital wallet fraud. So here's some good ones we haven't gone over. Avoid making payments over public Wi-Fi. The airport's a great one. Starbucks, don't do your bill pay at Starbucks. Or the hotel, you go to a hotel and it's like, here's the Wi-Fi. Everybody in that hotel is on that Wi-Fi. It doesn't take someone who's too tricky. Let's say I used to travel to the Midwest a lot and stay in small towns, and this actually happened when I'm up late on the computer and someone hacked in and got on everybody's screen. I only noticed because there was like 50 people down at the front desk who were, what's going on? And just started sending messages across people's screen, just took control of the internet of the hotel. So I know for a fact that one is very scary. But when there's public Wi-Fi, you don't have, there's lots of security risks. So there's no specific security for your computer when you're using public Wi-Fi. I like to turn off my Wi-Fi whenever I'm going out in public. There's been You can read about this on the internet. There's like, let's say we're going at a football game. So there's been examples, situations, incidents where people will use a drone and fly a super high powered Wi-Fi signal around large groups of people because our phones are designed and built to connect to the strongest Wi-Fi signal there is. So if you have your Wi-Fi on, your phone's constantly searching for the strongest Wi-Fi. So these bad guys gotten together, or bad people got together and figured out, okay, we can tap in everybody's phone with this Wi-Fi that their phone's going to just automatically attach to. So don't use public Wi-Fi to do private stuff is the takeaway there. Link your credit card rather than your debit card to your digital wallet. If you link your credit card and something's stolen, a fraudulent transaction takes place, Visa or MasterCard's on the hook. If you use your debit card, it's your money and you're on the hook. And it's pretty black and white that way. Only make peer-to-peer payments with people you know. I want to walk that one back. So when I created this, and this workshop's less than a year old. So when I created this, it was this stuff's growing in popularity. And so I just want to give you a quick example. My daughter goes to school down in California, and we went, the big thing to do at Cal Poly is go to the farmer's market in San Luis Obispo. So we went to this farmer's market, and it's more like a fair. It's awesome. It's so cool. And it's every Thursday. And they shut down 4 streets of downtown, and I don't know, at least 10, 15 blocks. And there's live music at the middle at both ends. And just vendors everywhere. Everything you can buy flowers, cookies, caramel apples, barbecue, you name it. It's a really cool fair. And there was no one taking cash. No one. And there's vendors there that are in the college, and there's student vendors. There are vendors there that's what they do. They're there providing their goods and services that they do to make a living. There was farmers from around the area that brought local produce, and everybody was using some sort of peer-to-peer payment. Venmo was the most popular one, but they had signs. We accept Venmo, PayPal, Square. There's some that I hadn't heard of. I had to go research. But after experiencing that, and I've gone there a couple of times, you're seeing the trend that these are becoming more and more acceptable to the point where it's not, oh, cool, you have Venmo, I'll use that. It's going to become an expectation. So that's the way I see it trending right now. We could be together in another year or 18 months, and who knows, this could change. It's a rapidly evolving environment. But I made payments to people that I just met using my Venmo. I wanted to buy some big chocolate chip cookies, and Venmo was the easiest way to do it. And nobody wanted to handle cash. So during the pandemic, that was a big thing too. We don't want to exchange cash. We want to limit. We want to provide contactless engagements. And so that's one way to do it. So I wouldn't be paying all my bills with Venmo, but if you're I felt very comfortable, very confident, very secure at this market, this farmers market, using Venmo. And so did the 276 vendors that were there. So I did do some research. Like, okay, is you guys all agree on this? What's going on? It's just it's easier. So it's easier. Okay. And now too, I believe it's any peer-to-peer payment transaction over $600 is reported to the government. And I also there's another interesting stat that wrap your head around. The CFPB has a digital transaction of every financial transaction made, period. So the CFPB has a database of every financial transaction made, period. So every time someone swipes anything in any store, they have that data, and now they're also capturing any peer-to-peer payment data over $600, and I imagine they'll start capturing it all. So that's not a way to stay off the radar, so to speak. So create unique, secure passwords and safely store them. Don't like a bad password example would be, all right, Brian Duerr is my username, and password 1 is my password, or I don't know, Ken Griffey Jr. is my password. So you use maybe acronyms or different names together spelled backwards. There's lots of good examples on the internet on how to create a tricky password, a robust password. Learn to spot and avoid phishing and smishing. I generally at that one, if it's too good to be true, it is. Or, the example I gave with PayPal. I know I haven't been using PayPal in years, but yet I'm getting an email every day saying, hey, verify your $400 some payment you just made using PayPal. It's like, okay, honey, we didn't use PayPal, did we? So I just delete that and block that email. Never ever give out sensitive information. I used to think this was kind of a goes without saying, a common sense thing. But when I first started school, not everybody had a smartphone, and now I walk into a school and there's more smartphones and smart devices than there are students. There's more smartphones right now than there are people on the planet. So, and the sensitive information, there's a point to that there's an expectation now with younger people that, oh, well, hey, it's fine. It's secure. This thing's totally secure. It's my phone. In fact, excuse me, it's my device. A phone call for at least my kids is like if there's a list of 1 through 20 things that this thing can do, this might be the 20th thing, making a phone call on it. So there's just this expectation that these are safe, they're credible. I don't have to worry about that. Which is not the case at all. So never, ever, ever give out any of your sensitive information, date of birth. I don't like putting my address in too many places. I never, ever put my date of birth and social security on the same document, not even at the doctor's office. I don't know why they need that. Always use multi-factor authentication when available. I've deliberately put this on 8 different slides in this presentation. So that's the best way to provide yourself with a sense of security. So pass on the crypto pump.
Just a quick time check. We have about 10 minutes left.
Okay.
No questions right now.
All right. So we're going to get into, I'll go over real quick, a crypto pump and dump. And so this is when there's a coordinated group of people that get together and say, all right, we're gonna take people for a ride, and we're gonna pump up Dogecoin or XYZ coin. Because remember, there's over 11,000 cryptocurrencies. So they get together, they organize a false value of this coin, and they're also organizing at the same time when they're going to sell. So people that are following this coin, to the person who asks, like, hey, this is like a stock market. This is another example where they do mimic stocks. People track. This is an example. This is a real life pump and dump. So the slide on the right tracks the value of this cryptocurrency, and at the very bottom, right down here, here's the time. And over here, everyone's talking, okay, boom, 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 30 minutes left. There's 200,000 participants, huge pump today, 3 o'clock. All right, it starts pumping and boom, flies up in the matter of 2 hours. This thing, quadruples in price and falls back down to earth. And these organized people over here know exactly when to sell. So people are looking at their computers and watching their screens, say, oh my gosh, this cryptocurrency is going up, time to be an overnight millionaire. Everyone jumps in. And then these organized, coordinated bad people pull the rug out from everybody, and they're left with nothing. So they overpaid for a digital currency that you can't even hold. This goes on a lot. This has been going on with penny stocks since the time the stock market's been around. But this is a big problem with cryptocurrencies. So again, be super, super careful. Looking for P2P. These are some that I think are good, credible, easy to use, somewhat safe. There's no fail-safe button for any of this stuff, but Venmo, Cash App, that's provided by BlockFi, used to be known as Square, PayPal, Google Pay, Apple Pay is great, Zelle, social media transfers, Facebook and Twitter seem to be working okay. Facebook's going to come out with their cryptocurrency here soon. They were supposed to last summer, but didn't. Great resource to compare all of these platforms, nerdwallet.com. That's a daily reading for me, along with TechCrunch. So, and these are the ones that I go to and I use. and I get to read about all the pitfalls of this stuff all the time. Here's some examples of some of the stuff we talked about earlier. I found a website that claims to sell French Bulldog puppies. Once you pay for them using Zelle, they'll promise to ship the puppy the next day. After the puppy shipped, I was contacted by the shipping company, so different company, who said the puppy passed all its health exams, but they needed an additional $900 for insurance. You send them the $900 and you never hear from these people again. So don't use P2P to purchase products like this. This is different than the farmer's market example I just gave you. Again, this is a rapidly evolving environment. So hopefully some regulation filters into this, and we don't have to worry about these type of things as much, or at least there'll be like a police person we can go to. Double, triple check the address, username, phone number, authentication, opt in for stronger securities. You can file a complaint at fraud.org if anything bad does happen to you. And it's useful to file a complaint because let's say you are talking to whatever organization that you've had a problem with fraud or somebody stealing your money. And if you filed on fraud.org, you'll get a case number, and that will help expedite while you're going through some of that painful process. So the best practices for digital age, I think we've gone over all this. The fraud incidents are up over 130%. Keep your info safe. Think before you click. Change your passwords. Dispose of electronic files responsibly. Don't just leave them lying around, kind of like the shredder days. Check your credit report 3 times a year from the credit bureaus. You get a free one. How blockchain will change and cryptocurrency will change the digital world. So we've gone all over these except for record keeping for medical. It always blew me away. I used to travel a whole bunch for my previous career. And if I needed to see the doctor, I used to have to fill out like a phone book worth of information. And it just kind of blew my mind. For as much money as we dedicate towards medical, how come we can't just hop in and see my file? We've gone to school for 12 years. You're a doctor. Just because I'm in Wisconsin, why can't you access a file through the internet? Well, that's coming. That's available now. It's just getting all the insurance companies to marry that up. So we've gone over all the seed to sales, supply chain management, ticket scalping. So that's stuff that we went over in this workshop. That's going to impact our everyday life, and who knows what the future holds for this stuff. Very exciting. Here's some recent blockchain. Well, recent as of a few months ago. So I have to change this number. But people right now, Bitcoin, all the cryptocurrencies are down. The whole financial world kind of right now is in a pinch, but Japan's digital yen. So the Prime Minister of Japan mandated that all the banks work together to create a digital yen. So that'd be like the president telling all the banks, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, SoFi, hey, you guys work together. All the banks, you organizations all work together to create this digital dollar. I don't know if that could happen here in the United States, but the fact that Japan has historically been a very fiscally responsible country. So just the fact that they're mandating that all the banks in Japan work together to create a digital yen lends itself credibility that the cryptocurrency is here to stay. Another kind of fun example, Odell Beckham Jr. This is not fun. I'm sorry. I feel awful for this person. Odell Beckham Jr. took his entire 1-year contract with the Rams in Bitcoin via the Cash App. And so it was worth that was over $1 million contract. And that was when Bitcoin was worth $64,293. And I haven't redone the math because it's a little hard, but when Bitcoin was at $35,000, his contract after taxes was only worth $35,000. So there's a lot of speculation. I'll take all this. I'll take this 1-year contract all in Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin is down, over half. Not a good move. Unfortunately for Odell Beckham Jr., he has a lot more money. Aaron Rodgers, football for a quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. The mayors of New York City and Miami are also taking some of their payment in cryptocurrency. El Salvador, the country, made Bitcoin its official legal tender. And then SoFi, which is a new bank, allows for complete crypto trading and investing, and they have a bank charter. So these are just what's happening, what's evolving, how the landscape looks, and some kind of some pitfalls and some credibility here that's lending itself to the industry. So here's some other resources for anybody who didn't get everything they wanted. These MIT OpenCourseWare, phenomenal, explaining blockchain and how that works. CoinMarketCap's great for knowledge. FTC.gov if you have any problems. And here's my contact information if anybody wants to have have the conversation go a little further and cover things a little more in depth. But I think we have a couple minutes if there's any questions.
Oh my goodness, Brian, thank you so much for this. If folks have any final questions, drop them in the chat. And I want to just say, please, when you close out of Zoom, make sure you take the survey that should appear in your browser, because that helps us plan future workshops if you found this helpful. Yeah, any other questions? Oh, TJ put Drake bet 1.3 million in crypto on the LA Rams. Ooh.
I love hearing, yeah, I didn't know that he did that, but yeah, there's some really cool stories out there like that. Really cool stories. Google and Safari, the search bars are very useful. So yeah, I'm sorry, that's not a good story, right? Because you obviously lost money on that, but so did the house taking that bet.
So as a reminder, this is recorded. We will send it out it'll take a few weeks, just because we have a volunteer who does our video editing, so that will come out soon. And all of the materials are available at that link. I'll send out an email either later today or early tomorrow with a link to where you can find the PowerPoint. And I've also been saving all of the resources and websites and things as he's been talking about them. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending today. I appreciate you all being here. Thank you, Brian, for your knowledge. This has been mind-blowing and informative. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
All right. Have a great afternoon, everyone. Take care.